Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon to learn more about final expense planning. Some of you are very familiar with our program, and for some of you, this will be new information. As I mentioned earlier, each of you are muted, and as we go through the material, should you have questions, please click the chat button and ask your question. And then near the end of the presentation, we're going to take all the questions that we've collected and we'll answer them at that time. If you'd like to try the chat button, why don't you tell us your name, where you're from, and what your role is? Like, are you a family member, a trust administrator, rep payee? Okay, let's get started. My name is Brenda Hager, and I am the Regional Director for Special Considerations. There you can see my contact information. We are recording today's webinar, so if you'd like to hear it again or parts of it, it'll be included in our follow-up email. What are the objectives of today's webinar? What is final expense planning? What are the options to fund funeral expenses? What are the features of the Special Considerations Plan? What makes Special Considerations different? And when the time comes. We're also going to speak briefly on the stimulus checks. What is final expense planning? Final expense planning is planning ahead to make sure the plans or the funds are in place to cover funeral expenses. Why do we avoid planning? There he is, the ostrich with his head in the sand. We think oftentimes we have plenty of time to do it later, or someone else will do the planning, or we're not emotionally ready to plan for a family member's funeral. What are the possible pitfalls? We have an ABLE account. Well, funeral and burial expenses are a qualified expense for ABLE accounts, but how can you guarantee there will be adequate funds in the ABLE account at time of need? Or we have a first-party trust, or we're part of a pooled special needs trust. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the presentation, so just keep that in the back of your mind. The truth of the matter is, we're all going to need this. We just don't know when. Let's talk about final expense planning and the government benefits. Our uniquely designed proprietary burial insurance program is an approved source for funding funeral expenses. And here is the POMS definition. Burial insurance. Burial insurance is a contract whose terms preclude the use of its proceeds for anything other than the insured's burial expenses. And many of you know this, individuals receiving SSI and Medicaid have resource limits to consider. Generally speaking, that's $2,000 in order to maintain their valuable government benefits. It's often necessary to spend down resources to maintain these benefits, and burial insurance is often a prudent choice for the spend downs. Recently, I've received several inquiries from our groups asking for policy lists, and I believe what they're doing is preparing for the stimulus payments and how it might affect their clients. And for those individuals who don't have anything in place, this might be a good option for some of those funds. What are the options to fund funeral expenses? And what I'm talking about here are the options in addition to the Special Considerations Burial Insurance Program. You have the burial bank accounts, but they're limited to $1,500. So that's not going to get us too far. There are burial trust accounts, but what if the accumulation is insufficient at time of need? And there are also initial trust setup fees that can be $250 plus, and ongoing administrative fees and IRS reporting. You could take your individual to a funeral home and pick out goods and services, but oftentimes that's an overwhelming experience for our individuals with special needs. The ABLE accounts, we talked about that earlier. Again, ABLE accounts, you can use the money in an ABLE account for burial and funeral, but how can we guarantee that those funds will be there when we need them? And we believe that the Special Considerations Burial Insurance Program is the best option. It's easy to implement. It provides the funds for final expenses. And you don't even have to leave your home or office to complete the enrollment. It can all be done via email. And that's something that will be covered more clearly in our upcoming webinar, which you'll hear more about shortly. Let's talk about the features of the Special Considerations Burial Insurance Program. Everyone is accepted, no one is turned away. It's designed to protect and preserve the government benefits. It's SSI and Medicaid compliant. And it's immediately irrevocably assigned to the Funeral Expense Trust, which is a component of our plan. There are no additional fees, no IRS reporting. The enrollment is very easy, and it can be used at any funeral home or cremation provider across the nation. Here is an example of final expenses that can be reimbursed by our burial insurance program. Each state is slightly different, so if you'd like a complete list for your particular state, please reach out to me. We have two plans. We have a single premium, immediate death benefit with a bump up plan. And single premium means you make one single premium and you don't make any further premiums. The bump up means that, let me give you an example. If you have someone age 36 who makes a single premium of $4,000 into their plan, their immediate face amount gets bumped up to $4,444. Where does the money come from? What are the sources for funding a single premium plan? Spend downs, which we talked about earlier, settlements, redeterminations. You can pull money from a pooled special needs trust or a first party trust. We really didn't talk about third party trust. I'm just going to jump in here quick. Third party trust is not the individual's money. The money in a third party trust is coming from a third party. The funds can also come from an ABLE account, and we've talked about that. We can roll over the burial bank accounts, those $1,500 burial bank accounts. We can roll that over into a single premium plan. Our 10-pay plan. What does that mean? The 10-pay plans, also known as multi-pay plans, are designed to fit comfortably into someone's spending plan. Typically, these premiums are paid monthly. They start as low as $11, and 10-pay means there are no longer premiums due after the 10th year. And just for added clarification, if someone passes away in the 5th year, no additional premiums are due, and our premiums never increase. On the 10-pay plan, it's a graded death benefit in the first 24 months. What does that mean? That means if the person passes away in the first 12 months, the death benefit is equal to premiums paid plus 3%. If they pass away during months 13 to 24, it's 70% of the death benefit. So for example, if someone purchased a $5,000 policy and they pass away in the 15th month, that death benefit would be equal to $3,500. If they pass away after the 24th month, it's 100% of the full death benefit, and it grows tax-free. First party and pooled special needs trust. Some of you are familiar with what I'm about to talk about and others may not. But it's important to know that funds in a first party or pooled special needs trust cannot be used for funeral expenses after the beneficiary passes away. And unfortunately, many trust beneficiary families realize this after it's too late. Pooled special needs trust groups often find it challenging to ensure that the trust beneficiaries and their families understand that they must pre-plan. Our plan addresses this void. We have developed an easy enrollment process for our pooled special needs trust groups, and these groups can request a special considerations webinar tailored specifically for their beneficiaries. We've also developed custom templates and letters and FAQ, frequently asked question sheets, for our special needs trust groups. Planning of this type can be overwhelming and complex, and without the assistance of an expert or experts in the field, you can potentially jeopardize the valuable government benefits. What makes special considerations different? In 1997, our parent company, Golden Considerations, became acutely aware of the need to serve the special needs community when one of their very own agents was having difficulty finding coverage for her son with Down syndrome. And in response to that, in 2010, they formally launched Special Considerations to serve individuals with special needs. Our team has the tools, the expertise, and the knowledge to ensure that the plan does not interfere with the valuable government benefits. And we work closely with our clients from the initial enrollment, lifetime policy service, and of course, at time of need. What our clients say. Here you will see testimonials from a trust group, a residential provider, and one of our family members. And the one at the bottom actually is one of my clients. Excuse me, she told me that she had my business card for 8 months and she just couldn't bring herself to making the phone call to take care of this. But after she called me and we talked, and she realized how easy it was going to be to set up this plan, she told me she just felt really good about it. She had taken a step forward, and now she has peace of mind knowing that the funds are there for her daughter's final expenses. When the time comes, when the policy is issued, you'll receive a claim process card, which provides instructions. Typically, the funds are available to the funeral home within 48 to 72 hours. And you might find this interesting. On traditional life insurance, most claims are paid between 30 and 45 days. Ours are 48 to 72 hours. We are also associated with hundreds of funeral homes, and if you need a referral, we can provide one. This is an example of our claim process card. And as I mentioned earlier, some of the funeral home partners that we are associated with have developed packages specifically for our special considerations policyholders. Stimulus checks. Eligible Social Security beneficiaries, including SSDI and SSI, and Veterans Administration beneficiaries who don't normally file a tax return will automatically receive a stimulus payment of $1,200. And rumor has it there may be a second coming. These economic impact payments will not be counted as income for SSI recipients, and the payments are excluded from resources for 12 months.